So Terminator Dark Fate is the #1 movie in America with like 20 something million dollars. Congratulations. Yeah, man, this movie ain't doing too well. This franchise is done. This franchise is closed and gonna get replaced with the Starbucks. And I'm gonna explain why. I need to explain Terminator Dark Fate. This is gonna be filled with spoilers. I think you probably know most of them by now anyway, so let's just get all in it. Look, the action is good. I still stand by that. Linda Hamilton shines in this role. Arnold Schwarzenegger is in top form as usual with this Terminator role. Rev 9, I actually thought he was really cool. The performances, I still stand by, are good performances. I knew they were already gonna try to say this is gonna be right after 2, forget about 3, forget about Salvation, forget about Genesis, but there's some story elements that I was like, that's a choice. Man, right off the bat, this movie kills John Connor like in the first couple minutes of the film. What? That kid you were trying to protect for all of Terminator 2? Dead. Just killed. Done. You're pretty much saying everything that happened in the first 2 Terminators don't matter. Don't care. He dead. Now, I think I would have had it affect me more if I didn't feel like the movie franchise had already pretty much ruined John Connor in Genesis by making him the bad guy and also Terminate-ish. You already did it for me there. And look, I'm gonna be real with you, man. I let it slide at first when I saw it in the movie. I was shocked, but I was like, you know what? That's a big thing to do. So you got to have a reason to do it. No, they don't. It doesn't make sense how they did it. It doesn't make sense when they did it. And it doesn't make sense why they did it. You're thinking there was maybe some big shootout, some battle or something like that that led to him being killed. No, this happens literally a couple years after the events of Terminator 2. Sarah Connor, John Connor just chilling there at outdoor bar. I think John's talking to a girl or something and they're by the water and T-800, just straight up classic, not a T-1000, not the gooey one, like a straight up old school Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator, comes out the water, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, John Connor, done. And what's funny is that Sarah Connor is sitting down and he walks right by her and they're probably this close to each other when he walks by her. She doesn't try to stop him. No one around tries to stop him and he gets away because he comes back later in the movie and that's it. Literally just walks right up to him and is like kaboom and is done. Okay, if you would have had a shootout, if you would have had a montage of multiple times of multiple Terminators, because that's something they even mentioned in the movie, that there were other Terminators that showed up not only after John Connor's death, but just in general. We've had other Terminators since then. If you would have given me a montage where you just show that this has been going on for years, constantly running, constantly fighting, constantly battling other Terminators, and then, like I said, years later, maybe we get an adult John Connor in our present day story, and that's the time that he goes into one big battle that he just doesn't get out of. That's at least a heroic death. You know what I mean? That's at least something where you're all right, he tried, he's been trying, just that one day, that one day of judgment that this did not work out for him. One time, one Terminator goes, I got him. I was the one. I'm still giving you benefit of the doubt that you might have been able to make this pull off, but the fact that you did it so close after the events of Terminator 2 is what's weird. And to do it in such a simple manner. To have it happen so quickly after, and I'm like, there's really no point to do it other than somebody wanted to play with some CGI. Someone got some new toys. That means we got to use that de-aging technology where you get those body doubles, but you put Linda Hamilton and Edward Furlong's young faces on them and a young Arnold Schwarzenegger. And look at how cool this is that we were able to make young versions of old characters and make them look all CGI-ish. And I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. It looked good. It was for a terrible reason, but hey, good job. And I didn't know this until after I saw the movie. I figured that the writer came up with this concept of killing John Connor. Nah, dude, it was James Cameron. There's a whole roundtable interview where he is basically yeah, that was my idea. Hey, let's just see what happens if the person you think is the leader of the resistance just got killed right in the first part of the movie. That'd be fun. Was it fun, James? Are we having fun yet? Han Solo, Force Awakens. Don't care what you think about the movie. Death justified, okay? There was a whole build-up. That's your son. Everyone wants to fight him. Let me talk to him. He tried. And then, I have to do this. Sorry, Daddy. Stab! But could you imagine what would happen if 2 minutes into The Force Awakens, Kylo Ren, who you just met, just were to walk up to Han Solo and shoot first? Probably wouldn't work out too well, would it? Have your arguments about Luke. Have your arguments about T-Rexes mixed with Raptors. But at least no one just came out first part of the movie and killed Luke in the face, or just shot a T-Rex in the face and was like, here's a new dinosaur. Like, no one did that. Actually, now, no. And my thing is, okay, if you're gonna do something like this, you gotta have a reason. There's gotta be some insanely cool, awesome, badass, amazing story that the only way you can tell it is to get John Connor out of the picture, or else it won't make sense. No, they go through all this trouble to do the exact same shit. We now have Dani, who's this new person we meet. She's this random woman. The first time we see her going into the room of this guy, and he's all half naked, sleeping in the bed. He's got all muscles and stuff, wearing his underwear. And I was like, all right, Dani, getting all hooked up there. Got yourself a hot little boyfriend there, little husband or whatever. And she's all like, wake up, little brother. It's time for breakfast. I'm like, wait, what? I'm sorry. I am not getting brother-sister vibes from you two. You walking in there all smiles and he's all half naked and you're all like, wake up, little brother. I got you breakfast. I'm like, maybe that's a little nickname you gave each other, but I'm going to say that little brother means something else. They work together at this factory, but her brother is about to lose his job because he's being replaced by a machine. Get it? But then the Rev 9, who I still think is cool, he shows up, kills their dad, acts like he is the dad. In order for him to be able to turn into somebody else, he has to touch that person. Shows up to work as the dad, and basically that's when all the fights happen. And like I said, when Grace shows up, Grace being the super soldier person who also came from the future to protect Dani, when they meet up at this factory and start fighting each other, Mackenzie Davis as Grace is a badass. That stuff's fun. That is entertaining stuff, and that leads into a car chase. Dani and her brother, they get in the car chase. Oh, they crash. Diego's like stuck in the car and is like, take Dani, take my sister. Then he explodes and dies. And then that's when Linda Hamilton comes out, badass, fighting that Rev 9. Come on. And the Rev 9's real cool because he's a Terminator that's got like an exoskeleton, like the classic Terminator skeleton, but then he's got the T-1000 goo. But then what he can do is that he can basically take the goo off and the goo can become its own entity. So you can be fighting the skeleton and the goo version. And the goo version is the version that allows him to change into various forms, but he's got to touch you first. So then you got like two of them trying to surround you and fight you at the same time. And I was like, okay, that's an interesting concept. I mean, it's not that far removed from Terminators we've seen before, but it's at least a twist on it. After Linda Hamilton comes out and is all like, I know what's going on here. Terminator's showing up and now you're here to protect her because you're a Terminator. And Grace is all like, no, I am not a Terminator. I am a human that has a lot of Terminator-like parts inside of her and also has to completely replenish herself with medicine or water on a regular basis or she'll shut down. But I'm a human, ma'am. Totally different. So then when Sarah Connor starts talking about Skynet, Grace is all like, what's the Skynet? I don't know what that is. We ain't got that. Grace and Rev 9 are not from the Terminator 1-2 future timeline. They're from a completely different timeline because there is no Skynet. Legion is a brand new, completely different from Skynet that creates an AI, which then eventually becomes self-serving and then creates Terminators to then wipe out all of humanity. Totally different from Skynet. Just like it's not the Empire, it's the First Order. Completely different. It's not Jurassic Park, it's Jurassic World. Completely different. This ain't Skynet, it's Legion. Completely different, does the same thing. If you're going to kill John Connor and you're going to create a new timeline, this was the moment to do something completely out of left field. You already set yourself up to say, new world, new rules. You could have made completely different type of Terminators. You could have made a whole different type of story. But with this thing, they're literally like, there is no Skynet. It never existed in the future timeline. Yet a completely different company comes up with the exact same idea. Even down to the exact same designs of Terminators. Really? Was that really worth the brand new timeline? Genesis was let's start over. This one is let's start over. You just can't keep doing that. You just can't keep doing that, especially if the result is doing the same thing. It's just so weird. It's just, so you see what I'm talking about? It's like, look, man, I don't want to So they keep trying to do all these twists. They ask Sarah Connor, how does she know about all these other Terminators that show up? And she's like, someone keeps sending me secret messages on my phone to tell me that Terminators are showing up. They give me the coordinates, they just tell me to show up there, and I take them out. And they're like, well, who's doing that? And she's like, I don't know who's doing that. And I'm like, really? Movie? Seriously? Like, I know Arnold Schwarzenegger is in this movie. His face is on the freaking poster. You also had him come out and shoot John Connor. Gee, I wonder what would happen if maybe the person that killed your son happens to be the person that's helping you find these other Terminators that you then will go find through an extensive display of good action sequences. Eventually get yourself to Texas to find him in a little log cabin to find out it's him. Like, we really gonna play this game right now. Like, we know it's him because you did this in Terminator 2. You teamed up with in the second movie to stop the other Terminator. So he comes out, I'm sorry, I killed your son. I felt guilty. I gained a conscience now and I feel bad. So I'm a florist, or I do drapes or something like that. And I have a wife now, but we don't get physical, so she doesn't know I'm really a Terminator because her husband treated her wrong, so I just protected her, and that's all she needed. And she has a kid, and she's supposedly important, but yet when we have to go in this battle, I'm just gonna tell her to leave. So there really is no reason to bring her up in the first place. And then when they're all like, oh, you know, Danny, we gotta protect her. And then Sarah Connor's like, yeah, of course we have to protect her because she's gonna have the child of the future leader of the Resistance. And I'm sitting here going, movie, are you really gonna try to do this? Danny is going to have the child of the leader of the Resistance in the future, and that she is not the leader herself. Are we really gonna play this game right now? We all know it's her. Why are you gonna go through an entire movie acting like she gonna have a kid when we know she is the actual true leader? You are not fooling us. Your action sequences are great though. And it's funny too because Sarah Connor says this in front of Grace. And Grace knows because they have this whole backstory where Grace was a kid and she was about to get beat up for some bread or something. And they were like gonna cut her up for some food. And then Danny, future Danny, who looks about the same age as current Danny, comes out and is like, leave that girl alone. And then she raises her as her own. And that's why she eventually got sent back from the future. Well, she had a war battle where she got hurt and then she volunteered herself to get the robot parts inside of her body to enhance her and then come back to protect Danny. You got all that? Great. So in this whole other timeline that's with Legion, not Skynet, and but still with Terminators. But I forgot what I was even saying. I literally lost my train of thought. And here's the thing about replacing John Connor with Danny. Now, look, I'm not going to get into... I know there's some people that are mad for a certain reason because John looks like this type of person and Danny looks like this type of person. I ain't even getting into all of that. But I will say this. When you have a resistance, I'm going to assume that there are multiple people that are part of it. What if Danny was like the second in command? So maybe at a certain point during the war, John Connor retired, or maybe he died in battle, and then she took the reins, so the Terminators were like, oh wait, she's in charge now? We gotta go back. You give him a graceful exit, and then she took over, so now you gotta kill her. Or maybe Danny was just like an equal fighter, and they're like, look, we already tried multiple times to go back in time to kill John Connor, it didn't work. Who's another person we can kill? Since they already established the fact that they were sending multiple Terminators back, what if there was like a team of people and they were just taking them out one by one? Like, didn't they do that at the beginning of Terminator 3? What if the Rev 9 himself went to like person after person after person and killed them, and every single time he took one out, that made the Terminator army in the future stronger and stronger and stronger, but then Danny happened to just be that one that they couldn't take out. So you still have John Connor, you still have the actual timeline with Skynet, and don't have to make some new Legion up that looks like the exact same thing. But then it still makes perfect sense why we're chasing a different person and not the same person. You did not have to destroy one thing to do the other. And I know I shouldn't have to say this, but let me just go on record by saying this has nothing to do with Danny being a female or a person of color. If they would have done this exact same thing and replaced John Connor with another white dude, I would feel the exact same way. The problem is not the person they replaced it with. The problem is how they did it. But the action sequences are good. Maybe we just need to accept the fact that maybe Terminator had a good movie and a good sequel, but was not really meant to be a franchise. We had a good run. Not everything that was popular back in the day deserves to become a Marvel Cinematic Universe-esque franchise, or a DC Universe-esque franchise, or a Awakens, or a World Some things just need to just be done. Or just reboot the whole damn thing. Get a brand new actor to be the Terminator, create a similar but new storyline, and just do something brand new. RoboCop did it. You might not like RoboCop, but at least they knew we gotta start over. Look, man, I'm gonna do this. I haven't done this before, but honestly, I also haven't been rating movies until recently with my Care Bear meter. So I gave this movie a fun shot because I was like, look, I know all the problems with it, but I at least did like the action and I at least did like the performances, even if the story was kind of messed up. But the more and more that I think about this movie, I'm pushing this down to a good luck, because that's pretty much what this movie is. If you go see the movie and you can take yourself out of the element that they just killed John Connor, if you can get past that, there are good action sequences and there are good performances. If you can't get past that, it is going to be hard for you to even like anything good about this movie, because you will not get that out of your head. And for that reason, I think good luck is a better emotion for it, because that is exactly what it is. You might be all right with this when you see it all put together, but at the same time, if you hear that this is what happens and it makes you immediately go, well, this movie's irrelevant, I don't need to watch it. I get you, man. I got you. I cannot be mad at you. But you know, some people are saying it's the best movie since Terminator 2. That's like ranking the Police Academy movies. After you decide what your top 1 or 2 are, do the rest of them even matter? But that being said, man, the action sequences are really good and Linda Hamilton has a really good performance. I really did like those action sequences. Thanks for watching this video. I love you like a play cousin. I'm Audi 5000. And go see some movies that are not franchises. Ready or Not, that's a good one. You should go see that. All right, bye.